Anyone who knows me for, say, more than a few days is well aware of the fact that Jiddu Krishnamurti has been one of my greatest sources of inspiration, among the figures who have most of all shaped my spiritual and philosophical journey. His presence has been with me as early as the age of 21. I remember so vividly how, at the very beginning of my anxious spiritual quest, a slim book titled Freedom from the Known, written by Krishnamurti, fell into my hands. Spending time with this book in India felt like a storm and thunder, a profound wake-up call to both heart and mind. My communication with Krishnamurti's teachings and presence reached its peak when I dedicated my Ph.D. thesis in philosophy to his thought and method. So I felt it was time to share with you what's been the greatest gift I've ever received from spending 26 years with Krishnamurti. Well, what has always intrigued me about Krishnamurti has been not so much the statements he made, but far more the way in which he conveyed them. At present, I'd like to think of Krishnamurti most of all as some sort of modern Socrates. You know, good old Socrates used to stroll along the agora, the Athenian marketplace, and irritate passerby by engaging them in a strange kind of dialogue. It was an overwhelming and relentless process of questioning that exposed the limits of their thought and made the house of cards of their self-confidence fall apart. This is pretty much what Krishnamurti was doing throughout his lifetime in the 20th century. I strongly remember how I once listened to one of his audio recordings in which he gave a long discourse on the question, what is the meaning of life? I was sitting there with great intensity, eager to learn what the great Krishnamurti had to tell me about the meaning of life. Slowly but surely I came to realize that throughout the talk, Krishnamurti would only tell me what the meaning of life wasn't, holding the question indefinitely. In short, zero satisfaction for the knowledge-hungry seeker. And to make things worse, at the end of the talk he concluded by asking, "So, have we in this talk understood what the meaning of life is?" Well, of course not, Krishnamurti. And yet, somehow, this process of open listening, questioning, and negating brought about a miraculously lucid state at the end of the talk. When the recording was over, there was only pure awareness and life as a totality, as an indivisible whole, without any interference of self, memory, or thought. In other words, the answer lay in the question, or more accurately, in fully listening to the question. So, this is the greatest gift I've ever received from Krishnamurti. Not a philosophy, since he wasn't a philosopher, at least not in the narrow sense, but two superpowers which since then I've been using spontaneously in all life's circumstances and in every dilemma. Question and negation. First of all, Krishnamurti taught me how to ask questions. When we ask questions, we mostly do this because we seek out information or knowledge, right? For example, what time is it? Or you can ask, what is the meaning of life? But Krishnamurti showed me how to use a question as some kind of cosmic force. How to hold a question without immediately seeking an answer. How to allow the question to work on my being, merge with the question, and let my mind become the question mark itself. We tend to rush to find an answer. Our minds feel uncomfortable when faced with an unanswered question. But when we rush, we don't allow enough space for the emergence of insight. Insight is like a total and complete seeing from the depth of our being. What we do instead is grab something from our memory drawers, finding something we already know, something that only reinforces and confirms what we already know. In this way, our encounters with questions, and life is made of questions, never allow us to open ourselves to the unknown. In fact, we achieve the very opposite. We narrow the vastness of our minds into a closed circle of repetitive thinking and knowledge. Here, the other superpower enters the picture: negation. Negation is an inseparable component of this process of questioning. I hold the question, and the question becomes like an enormous mirror that reflects back to me all my many automatic answers and reactions, my built-in concepts and quotes, past experiences, everything I've ever gathered along the way. Again, if I ask without negating, all I'm going to achieve is confirm what I already know, only to satisfy my need for security and psychological anchor. But what if I ask, what is the meaning of life? And instead I let the question itself unfold, gather energy, and expand. And as I'm noticing all my predetermined answers, I'm allowing them to fall away of their own accord. I don't push any of them away. Just by seeing that they are limited and conditioned, they fall away. If I do this sincerely, my mind becomes lucid and empty. It may have absolutely no familiar reference point, but it is open, listening, intelligent, and energetic. And in this state, insight is possible. You can even say that this very quality of your mind is insightful. This process is exactly what I always do. To be more accurate, I don't exactly do it, since at a certain point, this has become a spontaneous and natural state for my mind. So for this reason, I say that Krishnamurti has given me not philosophy, but freedom from the known. Not some new and exciting ideas, but a quality of listening. Not an answer, but a question.